And welcome to the Barry Foster Show on YouTube, originating from the Ridge Floor Studios in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. I'd like to remind you that if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for the program, people would like us to interview, topics you'd like us to broach, just put them in the comments below, or you can drop us a line at thebarryfostershow@gmail.com. And check out our YouTube page, The Barry Foster Show Daily, as we put up brand new programming Monday through Friday. Please like and subscribe at the YouTube page and join our pages at The Barry Foster Show on Facebook and Instagram. That would be very helpful. And remember, Christmas time is just around the corner, but the decorating doesn't have to stress you out. This year, let Ridge Florist bring Christmas home. From fully decorated Christmas trees delivered right to your living room, to complete in-home holiday decorating by our design specialist, to stunning Christmas floral arrangements that make every gathering magical. Ridge Florist does it all. Call today, 863-382-4477, or go on the web, ridgefloristofsebring.com. Ridge Florist, we decorate, you celebrate. In these studios, we have the beautiful and lovely Kamala Long, the former executive director of the Avon Park Chamber of Commerce. Kamala, good to have you with us, my dear.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
You were with the chamber for like 3 years, is that right? Almost 3 years?
2 years and 10 months, but who's counting?
Yeah, but,
just shy of 3 years.
Yeah, just shy of 3 years. So now you actually were born and raised in Canada, is that right?
In Trinidad and Tobago.
In Trinidad and Tobago, okay.
So, yes, I was born fifth generation of East Indian descent. So my ancestry is from India.
Okay.
Fifth generation. I'm fifth generation. So my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they were indentured workers on the island of Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
And we continued to prosper and grow entrepreneurially. My family are big entrepreneurs on both sides of my family, my mom's family and my dad's family. And they just were a great family in our local little town that we lived in. And I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago and went to a Catholic girls' high school, convent, if you can believe that. And it was a great experience being at an all-girls school.
What kind of entrepreneurial things did the family? Were they shop owners? Were they plantation owners? I mean, what kind of businesses did they engage in?
So my dad's father and my dad, they both owned a business called Achaibar and Sons, which is my maiden name, and they basically were contractors for the large corporations in Trinidad. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of oil in our country. So Trinidad is an oil producing country. So any of the petroleum, natural gas, any of these big plants that came to the island, my grandfather provided all their contractor services. So whether it be lawn services, labor services, milk pickup, newspaper delivery, anything that the company employees, the company personnel, their families required, driving them to doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, the family, children to school. My grandfather provided all of the contractor services for the families.
So as a family member, were you pressed into service? Did you have to get your bicycle and have your mail delivery route, your paper delivery route every day?
No, but I got the best milk from the best farms because my grandfather dropped it off at our house first. So my grandfather on my father's side, my paternal grandfather, that's what they did. They were well-known entrepreneurs in the community as contractors for basically all services for large corporations.
So how did you get from Trinidad to Canada? How did that work exactly?
Yes. So my maternal grandfather, he was in the cement business. So he had a quarry and he had a lot of cement trucks. And so he sold cement to the cement factory that was local to our Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad TCL is what it's called, Trinidad Cement Limited. And so for many years, that's what he did. And he supplied workers also to the cement factory for anything that they would require laborers for. So he also did that. I actually did learn to become a bit entrepreneurial from my paternal and maternal grandparents because we would be ride-alongs sometimes in the car when they were doing their different jobs. And on Saturday mornings, my grandfather would have us recheck the payroll for some of the laborers. He would have us do the math and use a big calculator and check and make sure that things were correct. He said, check up on the girls, make sure the girls are doing the math correct. So from a very early age, we were involved by both sets of our grandparents in the makings and the runnings of a business, whether it be the office or just sitting there answering the phones, different things like that.
So when you graduated from Catholic girls' school and you had to pick a university, I grew up in the era of if you're going to make anything of yourself, you got to go to school. So what persuaded you to go to the University of Alberta as opposed to someplace in the United States, for instance?
Well, that's an interesting story because when I graduated my last year of high school, I actually wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to go into education. And the last year of high school, our teachers were on strike. They were all wearing red armbands. And so when I graduated, I said to my high school biology teacher, who was like a really great mentor and woman leader for me, I said, I really want to become an educator. I want to become a teacher. And she said, are you kidding? Look at what's going on in the country. Do you see all these red armbands we're all wearing? We're all on strike. It's a teachers' union that's on strike, and we are looking for better services and better resources and better pay. And, I think the government needs to do better. So it's a terrible field to go into. Don't get into education. So at that point, I kind of felt stuck. And I said, well, what should I go into? And she said, well, my brother-in-law is the radio and television broadcasting producer. So I am going to have you apprentice under him. So I did. I went for a number of weeks, about 6 to 8 weeks, and I apprenticed under the top producer in our country for radio and television. It was called TTT, Trinidad and Tobago Television. And after I did that, he highly recommended that I go to broadcasting school. So I applied to Ryerson in Toronto. I think it's like a Polytech, and they had a really great radio and television broadcasting program. And that was my field that I actually wanted to get into. However, I was a foreign student. And so as a foreign student, you're like the last on the list. So
really?
First it's Canadians, then it's Albertans, Ryerson was in Toronto. So I started off wanting to go to school in Toronto. But my parents wanted me to go to school in Alberta because that's where I have relatives, where I could live with my relatives, and I didn't have to live in the dorm. I did apply to the Polytech Ryerson in Toronto, and I did not get in. There were only 35 spots in that particular program. Wow. So that's where I ended up in Alberta to apply for a program there. Again, did not get into any type of mass media is what it was called at that time. And so I did not get into the mass media program for the same reason that they accept such a limited seat in those programs. And so they accept Canadians first, then Albertans, then the province that they're in. And foreign students were last. And so by the time my turn came around, there weren't any seats. So I went back to my first love, which was education. And I went into education at the University of Alberta. Loved it. And after I graduated from the University of Alberta in education, I taught fourth grade and kindergarten. I also taught in Montessori preschool in Edmonton. I had a worker, what is it called again? It was a work permit.
Worker visa?
Yes, exactly. I had a work permit. I was allowed to work after having been a foreign student. And somewhere in all of that, I did not want to go back to Trinidad. I was a young adult at that point, 22, 21. And I felt that I was foreign enough that I didn't belong in Trinidad, but I was ethnic enough that I didn't belong in Canada either. So that was a rock and a hard place for me. So I felt one of the things that my dad had always taught us was to be global citizens. My dad was very well traveled. Obviously, since they took care of a lot of they had the contract and services for a lot of international companies. He had friends all over the world and he traveled a lot. And so he always taught us to be global citizens. So at that point, I felt, you know what? I just want to travel. I want to go live somewhere else and work somewhere else. So I applied to several countries all over the world. Greece, Japan, United States from Canada was a different country. So I applied. At the time, the LA Unified School District was hiring. They were having a lot of problems with education there, and it was considered a tough neighborhood and a tough environment to teach in. And I applied. At the age of 22, with $400 in my bank account, I had to make a quick decision. And the first job I got, I took, which was teaching English in Japan. And I took my last $400. I flew to Vancouver, British Columbia, for that interview, bought a suit, and that was my last penny that I had for that flight and that interview.
Wow.
And I got the job because this is a really crazy story, but I had a really great friend who worked for a Japanese company. It was a Japanese log cabin company. And he said, oh, when you do your radio, your recording of your voice, because you have to send a recording of your voice to the school before you would get hired. That's part of the interview process. So they don't just take a paper resume, that you have to send a recording because it's teaching English and they want to hear your pronunciation and your accent and all these different things. He said, I'm going to teach you some Japanese words. So he taught me konnichiwa, which was to say hello. And he told me to sayonara, which was goodbye. And so I started my presentation with the Japanese words and I ended it with the Japanese word. And so that they were quite impressed by that. So, I got hired and they advanced me the first month's salary so that I could fly over there.
So how long did you teach in Japan?
I taught for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Mm-hmm. And then you taught them how to speak English. Can you talk very much Japanese, or you can understand and know some of the words? Or?
So the interesting thing is, my first year teaching English in Japan, I was in a very small town called Shimada in Shizuoka-ken, which is the prefecture where Mount Fuji is. Most people are familiar with that. Mm-hmm. And so I could see, the little tip of Mount Fuji from my little town where I lived. It was a very tiny town where we took a train and I rode my bike with the little bicycle bike basket in the front to get my groceries and things. The first year, my students did great because I didn't know Japanese. I spoke English and they were forced to speak English. The second year, I became quite fluent in Japanese and they did not do as well. Because some of my students became my friends because I taught business English to adults. I did teach also to children and housewives, and they also were wonderful and became friends as well. But what happened is that once they knew my Japanese was better than their English, they started relying on translation. So they would wait for me to give them the Japanese translation word, as opposed to forcing themselves to think in English. Exactly. But it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I became very immersed in the culture. So I did Japanese ikebana. Which is a flower arrangement. I did, calligraphy. I did dancing, the Japanese dancing with the kimono and the fans. I did all of that. I was very immersed, and I also met my husband there.
I was going to say, you've gone from Trinidad, Tobago to Canada to Japan. How in the world you end up in Avon Park, Florida? Did the train break down here or something? Or how did that work exactly?
Yeah, something broke down, I'll tell you that. So I lived in Canada for about 7 to 8 years. And honestly, my desire when I traveled overseas to live in a foreign country, I had hoped to apply for my permanent residency to go back to Canada. But I applied several times, like 11 times, because I was told that Japanese people, like very few Japanese, would want to apply to go to Canada. So you'd stand a better chance applying to their local embassy to go back to Canada. I applied so many times. It got to the point where the guy that I got to know, the ombudsman, he said, your Japanese is fluent enough that you should become a tour guide in Banff, Canada. And you could get through that means, because that is a needed niche. Mm-hmm. We don't need teachers in Canada because according to the general number of teachers for the entire country, we don't need teachers. Never mind that the bulk of the teachers that they needed were in the Yukon area, the new territories, and that was like really cold. But in the city areas, they were saying that they didn't have room. So I said, no, I have a degree in education. I'm not going to go be a Japanese tour guide in Banff. That's not happening. So I thought, well, I am going to stay in Japan for 5 years. I'm going to love where I live. I had a bunch of wonderful Canadian friends. And my students who were working, some of them in America, some of them in Canada, one of my students who was working for VDO Yazaki, which was a German-Japanese company, he was based out of the United States. And he said to me, there's an American engineer I want you to meet. And I said, I'm not interested in Americans, because at the time it was the Kuwait War and the Gulf War. And America was sort of touted as the policeman of the world. I said, yeah, I'm not interested. And so they showed me his picture, and it was his birthday the next week. And they said, come on, let's go. We're going to go play pool, and we're going to go out to the local restaurant. And I said, oh, well, okay. Yeah, he looks like somebody with a tender face.
He looks fun.
He looks fun.
You got to watch out for those Americans.
I know, right? Yeah. And he was not your typical American. He was just very, he wasn't like, I lived in places where sometimes Americans can be very loud, right?
No. No.
Oh, there's the American tourist. You can spot them a mile away. They're wearing white tennis shoes and they're really loud. And he wasn't, he was dressed very nicely, and he was very, fun, and we had a great time. And so that's how we met. We met in Japan through my students. And we had a long distance relationship for like 2.5 years, because he flew back obviously to the States, and I continued to live in Japan. And, after Japan, I left Japan after 2.5 years to go take a TEFL course, which is teaching English as a foreign language course in London, England. And my thought was I would go take that course. I took it with a bunch of other Canadian teachers, and we were going to go back to Japan. But while I was in London, my now husband proposed.
Oh, really?
And that's all she
He
wrote.
flew to London?
Yes, that's all she wrote, Never went back to Japan.
And he said, come down to the scenic Avon Park, Florida. It's a brand new cultural experience.
Well, actually, I moved to Michigan because he's from Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And so we lived in Michigan for about 12 years. Where
in Michigan?
Small town called Ortonville, north of Detroit.
Okay.
And south of Flint.
Okay. Adrian up around there, Blissfield. Yeah, I know that.
So more like Holly, Grand Blind.
Oh, okay.
Pine Knob. People have heard of Pine Knob. A big amphitheater. Got lots of music things going on there. So we raised our girls, 7 and 9. My husband was in the automotive industry. Detroit Automotive was taking a bit of a tank. And so he started looking at options for products to design and develop in Florida. So he moved to Sarasota. And so we moved to Sarasota. He was designing scooters and bikes and boats. And we lived in Manatee County for 20 years, raised our girls. I worked in real estate. I worked in ministry. And both wonderful environments, wonderful professions. I enjoyed every minute of the jobs that I've had. I worked first in education when I first got to Michigan. And then I worked in real estate and then ministry. And our girls are 29 and 32. And one lives in Lakewood Ranch, Manatee County, Sarasota County, kind of on the border. And one lives in Orlando. And basically, we were at that juncture of being empty nesters. We moved out of our big family home into a small condo, and the traffic just started getting really crazy in Manatee County and developing a lot of communities and a lot of subdivisions around us. And it took me 25 minutes to go 6 miles one day. And I said to Dean, I think we need to start looking elsewhere. So he literally threw a dart on the map. An hour and a half from our daughter in Orlando and an hour and a half from our daughter in Lakewood Ranch was Avon Park. And that's how we ended up here.
So
A dart on the map
when
to be
you came
between
to
both our
Avon
girls.
Park, when you came to Avon Park, what was it easy to find a house here? Was the housing boom going on? Or?
So that was another crazy story. I thought we were moving to Sebring. I had no idea we were moving to Avon Park. He kind of convinced me that I would really like Sebring, and we would be getting a house in Sebring. But he wanted a house on a lake. And so at that time, we were looking the houses on the lake. We still had our condo in Manatee County. So financially, we didn't want to carry 2 mortgages. And so we felt we could afford a smaller little house in the country in Sebring. But after we got the listings, the one house that we ended up on, landing a purchase on, was in Avon Park. And we decided, okay, it's a little fixer-upper. We're going to just kind of make a go of it. And it was close enough to Sebring that I could just be in Sebring and be in the action and be in the limelight and do the things that I wanted to do. That was fun. And he works from home. Dean works from home, so he could do his engineering things and the things that he does from home. However, within a week of moving to Avon Park, both our daughters said, "Do you know where you've moved to? Like, that town is deserted. Like, it's dead. There's nothing going on." And I said, "Well, there's this really cool hotel, and I think that it's got potential." But we hadn't really driven downtown Avon Park because we had come in from the Sebring side off of 17, because that's where we were looking. We were looking closer towards Sebring and Dinner Lake and Little Lake Jackson and that part of town. And so we sort of just kept edging up to Lutila and Letta, and all of a sudden, here we are in Avon Park. So, but the north end of Avon Park, closer to Sebring. So, is that correct? The south end? South end of Avon Park, closer to Sebring.
No, south side.
South end of Avon Park. And so, that point, we decided that we should learn about the town that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a drive through Main Street. We started looking around. The buildings were all closed up, all deserted, boarded up. I mean, there were like 2 or 3 cars. And I said to my husband, "Where on earth have you moved me to? I thought you said we were going to be in Sebring." And he said, "Well, you could still be in Sebring. You can still go hang out there.
Yeah, you're quite distant.
You're close enough." Yeah. So, I took a class. My goal was, when I moved here, was to retire, plant a garden, and grow our food. I wanted to be a little bit in the, not quite the homesteader feel, but a little bit of homesteading. I wanted to grow our own food. I wanted to have chickens, have eggs, that kind of thing. Pickled. I wanted to pickle stuff, so I wanted to learn all that canning thing. And I took a class at the Bert Harris.
Oh, the Agricultural Civic Center.
Correct.
Yes. The Ag Center, as it's known.
Yes. I took a Master Gardener class there, learned a lot.
That's the truth train, by the way. That's the truth. It comes through every show.
Wow, it's a big one. It's an Amtrak. It's a big one.
Good.
And I met some fabulous people, some fabulous ladies. We exchanged plans. We started planting. We started sharing. And within a week, I landed, and I honestly don't know how I ended up in a city council meeting. Just one of those weird things. I was looking online for things to do in Avon Park, and I came across the city website.
Council meeting is always exciting. There's always something to watch there.
Literally, it was the only thing going on in Avon Park at the time.
Yeah.
There was nothing going on in Avon Park at that time. Maybe the tap room, but we didn't smoke at that time. The tap room had smoke, so we didn't go. The Jacaranda, but again, we didn't know much about it. It looked kind of deserted.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up in the city council meeting, and I said to my husband, so I remember one of the reasons why I decided to go, because we wanted to add a garage to the front of the house, and we could not add a garage because we did not have the right
setback.
Correct.
Yes.
And you had to get a variance. And you had to get a variance through the county. But I was confused. I thought we were in the city, but we were actually in the county, unincorporated. And we didn't need to go to the city. But I end up in the city council meeting thinking, well, maybe I should get to know what this is all about, because if we have to apply for a variance, I need to know the process and all this kind of stuff. So shortly after that, found out that we were in the wrong place. It wasn't city council or city meetings I needed to be in. I needed to be in a county meeting. So I started attending both because I did find the city council meetings quite interesting.
It's always exciting.
So I started attending both city council meetings and county commissioners meetings, getting to know the people, getting to, lay the land, all of the different things that were going on. And I met Deputy Mayor Jim Bernard, and he just sort of took me under his wing and introduced me to Nancy Fisk, Galen Thomas, brought me into the baseball museum committee. At that time, it was just a committee, just starting to say, hey, this is an idea. This is what we want to do. How do we do it? So it was very, very basic groundwork, beginnings that I came in on. And then I just started serving. I started volunteering with the Historical Society, with the Heartland Cultural Alliance, and really loved it. I loved both
That's
of
where you
those
get to
environments.
meet the movers and shakers there. That's a couple of great organizations.
Yeah, I learned about Avon Park. I learned about the history of Avon Park. Somewhere in all of that, I met a lovely lady, Chantel Paris, who I met at a county commissioners meeting. And I'd met Jem Bernard at the city council meeting, and I'd met Chantel at the county commissioners meeting. And so they both kind of took me under their wing and was teaching me the ropes and telling me about the Highlands County, this town that we were in. And Chantel said, you should do Leadership Highlands. So I thought, yeah, that would be a great way. I'm a learner. My background is education. I came from 20 years of ministry as director of leadership development and discipleship development as well, in a particular area called discovery, helping people discover their gifts and learn the area of serving. And so I am an avid learner. I thought, yeah, I'll take a course. I'll go learn what this Leadership Highlands is all about. It was $1,200. It was pretty steep. But I thought, what? I'm investing in myself. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I did it. I get to this class, and every single person in the class is highly employed. They're CEOs and directors and this and that. And then there's me. I am unemployed. So they sort of made it their mission to find me a job.
To find you a good job.
Yes.
Not just any job.
Yes. So obviously, Carla Ball was in the class, and she was human resources. She's human resources for the school board.
Yeah.
And, she knows my background is education. She's like, I need you. Like, let's get you signed up. Let's get you on board. But again, I just come out of, heavy environment that was people oriented in ministry, just really pouring into people. It was education. I taught for both Bayside College, which was our college program, as well as the church, which was our leadership program. So I had both leadership development programs for both the college and the church. So I just felt I came out of an environment where it was a teaching environment. It was a lot of pouring into people, and I was kind of tired of people. I needed something more chill.
So you heard about the opening at the Chamber of Commerce, which is much more chill.
Well, at the time, I had met George Karos, the previous director, and I said to him, upon my second or third meeting, I said, George, let me volunteer for you. You need my help. George, you legit need my help. George, please, open your door. Let me in. No. Would not let me in. Would not take me up on my offer. So I got to know him, and I got to know Galen, and again, I knew Deputy Mayor Bernard. Somewhere in all of that, George left the chamber, and both Galen and Deputy Mayor Bernard advocated for me to help the chamber. So I came and I served for the first month in January of 2023, because George left the beginning or middle of January 2023. We moved to Avon Park in July of 2022, and I started serving in August of 2022. So August, September, October, November, December, I was serving at Heartland Cultural Alliance, Historical Society. And then in January, I started serving with the chamber because George had left. So the board, Justin Williams and Melissa Coonley, basically said, would you come volunteer for us? And so I volunteered for their luncheon. And I just said, I'm not George, but I'm here as your luncheon leader. And then I left and actually went to Trinidad in February. And while I was in Trinidad, I got the call. I did interview before I left. I said, let me help you. I do have a background that could serve you well. I've been in nonprofit for the last 20 years. My background is leadership development and education. I have raised funds. I have done SOPs. I've written, plans for sponsorship, fundraising, engaging the community. I'm a people person. I'll get out there, even though I didn't feel like I wanted to be with people. When God's got a calling on your life, you can tell God all day long you don't want to be in that, but He's going to put you back in the area that's your passion and your purpose. So, yeah, I told him I didn't really want to be with people, but guess what? 4 months later,
you ended up with people.
I was in it with a lot of people.
And when you started the chamber, it was there was a pretty open field for you to move forward. You had $3,000 in the bank account, and I don't know how many members. How'd you know
about that?
I heard it from a good source.
Oh,
but at any rate, but you moved quickly and moved forward and began to pad the membership rolls and start events and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So that first day when Justin and Melissa let me into the building, apparently because of COVID, they'd been meeting over at the Jacaranda. So the board had not been meeting at the building. They had no idea the condition of the building. Mm-hmm. And so I said, after I was hired, in Trinidad, and I came back in February of 2023, our first board meeting was going to be at the chamber. So they came in, they took a tour. I toured the inside and the outside. And I said, this is not possible to conduct business. It's not really habitable for anyone to work here. So the community leaders on my board got together and made a decision to renovate it. And so they poured over $80,000 to renovate that building. So it is a building that was gifted from the city to the chamber some 100 years ago, and it is now a beautiful renovated building. So it is an asset that belongs to the chamber. It is deeded to us. It is owned by the chamber. It is our building. If for any reason, in some distant future, the chamber ceases to exist, then that building would belong back to the city.
Goes back to the city. Get a reverter clause. Yeah.
But they have an improved, remodeled, highly valued building now compared to what they gave. So at that time, there was mold. It was wood paneling. The outside was there was a giant tree from the neighbor leaning on the roof. Mm-hmm. Duke Energy came and assessed the situation and said, oh, yes, we need to take that tree up. And so they did. It was quite a feat to clean, organize, and remodel that building. But we did it. And we did it from March of 2023 through June of 2023. Mm-hmm. So it took a number of months for the bulk of the work to be done. The beautification, the outside of the yard, that continued through December of 2023. In fact, just before our Christmas parade, I said, this has to be done before the Christmas parade. So I laid down the law on that. And it was done. And we opened up the doors to have a welcome center, to have a business center, to have a beautiful chamber space. We doubled our memberships from, I think we were at 145. Now we're just under 300. And we have room for more. Mm-hmm. I really could have pounded the pavement more this year and done a lot better job at that. In the first year, we did a lot of small events just to say, hey, we're here. We're here in the community. We are here for Avon Park. We're here for the businesses. Here's some sponsorship opportunities. We wanted to bring foot traffic. Mm-hmm. That was the goal. We needed to bring foot traffic to downtown. And it was a case of planting flowers. So once we cleaned up our building and our beautiful building was painted and I did plant flowers, suddenly the neighbors started painting their buildings. Yes. And they started planting flowers. And it just sort of started mushrooming a little bit throughout. And the gym was always scheduled for the brick building. It was complete by the time we had, I want to say, the Blueberry Festival in April of 2024. I could be wrong on those dates, but I seem to remember somewhere in there they had an open house. And I remember Stephen saying they had like 400 people come through. He was tickled.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
So young and old, everyone. So the gym really drew a crowd, and it drew what it was meant to do, right? It brought people to downtown, and it was wonderful. And so then I think other places started looking. I remember talking with Tanya Khan from Sweetwater. She was looking for a coffee shop spot. They had talked to her about the Brickell building, but she'd wanted an independent location. And I pounded the pavement with her up and down. We looked and looked and looked. And a lot of the spaces that she had been interested in didn't pan out. And she ended up at the Jacaranda, which turned out to be a wonderful location. And that was great. And then from there, Tassel and Thread was always in the Jacaranda. And I remember standing downtown one day in sort of a desolate downtown when the gym was still under construction, and cars were showing up and they were parking on the street. And I thought, where are these cars going? And they were all going to Tassel and Thread. So Tassel and Thread was actually a destination location first. And also Thankful Hearts Nutrition with Chrissy Myers. Those two locations they drew their crowd. They drew their people, and their people came every week, every weekend, every day, and shopped those two locations. So it was a great groundwork that was already being laid by these two businesses. The tap room always had their crowd. Bagwell Lumber, always had a crowd. Like there were always people within the businesses on Main Street. Bagwell Lumber is on Main Street. So, I had to give them that. Bridge Florists, this was here. They provided flowers for our chamber events, which was wonderful. So we had a lot of support from the community. Ace Hardware also became a fan favorite of my husband's, because that moved to a little house that we needed a lot of remodeling.
That's a happy place for men.
Yes, he was there.
Palmer Electric, yeah.
Yeah, he was there 15 times a day at least as he was doing his remodel. So yeah, we started seeing the potential in the town, and businesses started joining. I started making some phone calls the first few months I was here, just saying, "Hey, I'm Kamala Long. I'm the new executive director for the Chamber of Commerce." And they'd be like, "Huh? Who? What?" Yeah. They didn't even know it was alive and well, So that was a bit challenging. So I felt it was important to start visiting the businesses and going and introducing myself, letting them know who I am, what I'm about. And my goal was really just to bring opportunity to every business that was a chamber member. Opportunity for visibility, opportunity for networking, for a reliable source. We became that reliable source of information if they were looking for a referral or if they were looking for workers. We had great members on our board. We had Nucor, Advent Health, Bill Jarrett. I forgot some of the other ones that were on there. But we had some really great board members that were part of our board. They're still part of our board. We still have Advent Health. We've got, the college. The college has always been part of our board. Heartland National Bank, and now Seacoast. We had Cruise Bank as well. So a number of really great members, partnerships with local businesses. They came together. Our side yard was done by Yana Concrete and All Faces Concrete. They did that au gratis. They gifted it to us.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So we really got the blessing from Jared Ford, from Advent Health, from Nucor for the remodel, and other businesses that came together and supported.
What do you think is like maybe your biggest success as the executive director of the chamber? Can you point to? You don't have to quantify, but what is some of the things that you're really happy were able to get accomplished in the almost 3 years?
Yeah. So I think actually just having a beautiful space that's welcoming. We've got a seat at the table for everyone. We are welcoming center. We are welcome center. We are the arms of the city, if you want to call it that, the welcoming arms of the city. People stop in and talk to us first. And we love that. So we love being that. We are there for our businesses. We've increased our membership. So a beautiful remodel building, being the welcome center, having a business center, also just being that force that brings events, that brings activities to our downtown. So the foot traffic is increased for our local businesses, for downtown businesses. And those that are not downtown, on the outskirts, the outside businesses, we've engaged in other ways through sponsorships or just social media presence. And we are alive and well. I think that's something I'm proud of, that the Avon Park Chamber was always sort of sleepy and just not, is it doing anything? Like, what's going on over there? Yeah, a lot is going on. We're doing great things. We're doing wonderful things for our community. We're active in our community, and we want businesses to feel that pride and that joy of being part of a membership organization that's working for them and working for the community, engaging both their members in terms of their personnel, as well as residents, visitors, as well as residents in our community.
Is there anything that you feel like undone business, unfinished business stuff, something you would like to have gotten accomplished before you moved on to the next season of your life? Something saying, gosh, I wish I could have, or maybe leaving it for your successor to kind of finish up, that kind of thing?
There's always more, right? There's always room for improvement. Yeah. And so I really believe that I could have done better at getting more memberships. I could have done better at getting more sponsors, more events, maybe not so many small events, but maybe bigger events, like 3 or 4 really big signature events. We used to have Springtime on the Mall that the chamber did. That was a huge signature event that everybody looked forward to. It was closed from the top of 27, I think, Main Street, all the way down to like Delaney, Downson Park.
It was close at least to Lake, I think. I
mean,
they really did right here at the railroad tracks, pretty much. They sealed it off.
So that was a huge event that the chamber used to do. So I would have liked to have done that. Bring back a couple of big signature events. I mean, our Christmas parade obviously is huge. The first year I did it in 2023, we were between, I would say 10,000 people, 10 to 11,000 people. Last year we were probably between 8 and 10, and this year we were close to 11 again. So that seems to be our mark.
You ordered the weather special, though.
That was great, right? Weather. Hey, and given our population size is like 10, 4 or something like that, I mean, having 11 means everybody came out.
Yeah, everybody. a lot of people from other areas came out to see the parade. Yes,
exactly. Absolutely. So it has a small town charm. I think that some of the other things I would have liked to have done is, see more of our empty buildings filled. I would have liked to have brought more economic support to Main Street, to downtown, to our Avon Park itself. We still got that empty CVS building. I have a really great friend who builds hotels, and I've been speaking with him for 3 years now. Well, 2 and 10 months. He does those 3-star hotels like the Sleep Inn, the Holiday Inn Express, Comfort Inns. He does a chain of all of those, and he has several hotels. He's got like 12 or 16. And I said, Avon Park, hey, bring a hotel to Avon Park. He did not say no. He was looking at Auburndale and Davenport and some of those areas, and he said, yes, 27 is definitely on my list. He did not want to come downtown. So we're still kind of interested in having him come out. He's still looking. So those are some of the things, some big anchor businesses I think I would have liked to have had a little bit more input on. A big outdoor space would have been cool. Family center type thing downtown would have been nice. I've spoken to several people about that. Different business owners, investors that are interested. One was interested in bringing a bowling alley. I said, well, we kind of had that already. But so there's always room for more. There's always room for growth, more members, more sponsorships, more events, more activities for kids, more activities for families. We just had a wonderful outdoor block party with the Poorhouse on Main.
Oh, yes, that was great.
And
we were down for that, yes.
Yeah, Hideaway. And everybody just loved that vibe, and they just felt like, wow, can we do this all the time? Can we do more of this? So I think that's what we're looking towards, the future, If anything, that's something I think that we could do more of. Bring more family fun events.
So what's next for Kamala Harris? Kamala Long.
Yeah, right.
Sorry about that.
Get your name straight.
Kamala Long. What's next for you in the next season?
So in my next season, I turned 60 this year. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. Because honestly, I've been an Energizer Bunny most of my life. I've just batteries that just never shut off. No recharging necessary. I've always felt that I could do more than most, go the distance more than most, serve more than most, give more than most. I have what's called a giver gift and an administrator gift. And there's a spiritual gift, but what that gift means is that you're a bit of a chameleon. You can do all things. You're all things to all people is what I used to tell my church peeps. You're all things to all people. You don't have to be a master of anything. You can be a jack of all trades and wear that proudly, because growing up, I always felt, you're told to be a master of something. And, I'm proud to say I can be a jack of many trades and I don't have to be a master of any, but I'm good at delegating and I'm good at building teams and I'm good at finding someone better than me at something and helping them to be empowered to do that job. When I turned 60, the switch went off and went, I think I'm tired. I think my battery just wound down.
I'm tired, boss.
Yeah, I think my battery just wound down. I was in Trinidad in June, and my parents are elderly. They're 85 and 82, and they're just existing. They get up, they eat, they sit on the couch, they watch TV, they sleep, fall asleep on the chair with the TV on. They wake up. Is it lunchtime yet? Yep, it's lunchtime.
Sounds like Highlands County.
They eat, they go back to sleep, fall asleep on the couch again. And that's 3 times a day, until dinner. And then they go to bed like at 7 o'clock. And my mom watches like late night soap operas until like midnight. And I just felt like the quality of their life wasn't something that I was proud of as their daughter. Just visiting for a few days. I'm living my best life in the Caribbean, and my parents are sitting there watching TV and eating bonbons, In that moment, I was approaching my 60th birthday in August. So I hadn't really felt the weight of 60, but I knew I felt the weight of care that was needed for my parents in June. So I did resign in June to make that decision to go back home to take care of my parents for a few months, just to clean up the house. I mean, goodness heavens, my mother is a mini hoarder and just want to throw anything away. I'm talking styrofoam containers, plastic containers. I'm talking newspaper. I mean, everything she saves. She did not come out of depression, but I'm not sure where that all came from. But then when I did turn 60 in August, that switch did go off where I was like, wow, okay, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm ready to hand this chamber off to someone that could do a better job, a different job. And we've laid a great foundation. We have a legacy that someone can pick up and carry on or make it their own and do their own thing. And I'm happy to say that I am headed into the lion's den. No, I'm headed to my parents' house to just provide quality care. They do have daily caregivers that come in and do the basic bathing, cleaning of, the physical needs. But I want to help with some of their emotional and mental needs, take them out to the beach, take them out for dinner, take them to go visit some family. Get dressed up. Let's go do something. Not just sit in the house and watch soap operas till midnight, So I feel like this is the last season of their life. And I feel it will be time well spent to invest my time in my parents.
And recharge your batteries.
And recharge my batteries, yes. I'm hoping to eat less and exercise more. Stephen told me that I was the one member that was closest to the gym that had a year-long membership that never showed up.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. So
finally, I had to cancel my gym membership. I said, you know what? I've had it for a year, and I haven't even made the 3 steps down to the front door. So, take care of my own personal, physical, mental, emotional health. And take care of my parents, provide quality care for them, and come back refreshed and renewed I hope to be gone for a few months.
And so you will come back to Avon Park?
I will come back to Avon Park, yes.
And keep Avon Park beautiful, revive that, and
Yes.
get that, plant more flowers?
Yes, absolutely. I have started a foundation called Keep Avon Park Beautiful. It's part of the Keep Florida Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful entities. We are an affiliate, official affiliate. So my goal is to come back and plant a community garden. We already have the land. We're dealing with the rezoning at the moment. We already have investors. We have people that are willing to put money towards plants and raised beds and security camera and fencing and all the things that we need, seeds. We have one of our chamber members that comes to our coffee chat on Friday mornings, and she is an avid gardener, and she planted community gardens in Pennsylvania, where she's from.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of, it's really serendipitous how that happened too. There were several of our chamber members that come to coffee chat that their hobbies was gardening.
There you go.
And so we have all these people that are like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll chip in. I'll do that. So we have people already that are very invested in the community garden. I'd love to see a big farm to table dinner on the street, close off a little side street, back, I think it's a Church Street, or I forget the name of the street back there, but it's between, CenturyLink building and the plot of land that.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Behind it's a little tiny side street. Yeah. And so it'd be kind of cool to do like a big table.
How cool would
dinner.
that be? Yeah.
On the street, close off the street and have a big dinner. So those are some fun projects. Definitely plant flowers and plant a garden and do things for Keep Avon Park Beautiful. So part of that affiliate is trash pickup, which we used to do Keep Avon Park Beautiful. We would pick up trash on Saturday mornings with the JROTC, the Girl Scouts, the Key Club, Future Farmers of America, Future Leaders of America. We had all these kids from the high school that would come out and pick up trash on Main Street. It was wonderful in Donaldson Park. We saw that as helping the city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll tell you, we would pick up trash at 8 o'clock in the morning. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there was trash in the median.
Yeah, well, there's a story about that.
Right.
So, but, you've lived a very varied life, and we're glad to have you in Avon Park.
Thank you.
We're sad to lose you for the number of months that you'll be gone, but we'll be glad when you come back, because I know Galen Thomas and Nancy Fisk over at the Heartland Cultural Alliance and the Historical Society will be glad to have you back as well. I think they're looking for their volunteer to come back and do some more volunteering. And of course, beautifying the city, what can be bad about that? So it sounds like you have things in readiness to, so you're not selling the house, right? You're going to stay here, and you're just going to go back for a few months, take care of mom and dad.
Yeah. Just need to go clean up the house, get things set up, put some systems in place, hire a couple new caregivers. The couple ones that we have right now are not quite working out. Just get the parents kind of situated.
Right.
And then once they're in a good condition, then I could, kind of come back and just be refreshed and ignite the fire and get going again.
Well, when you get back, we want you to come back and talk about Keep Avon Park Beautiful.
Yes.
And we'll get you some more seeds.
Yeah.
And I just let the record show, the Barry Foster Show is a member of the Avon Park Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that.
I had a picture of Kamala and myself in the chamber offices. So, Kamala, thanks for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Best of luck in Trinidad and Tobago. Be looking for your triumphant return.
Yes, I'll come back tanner than ever. I'll come back more tanned.
And beautiful. You've been listening to the latest edition of the Barry Foster Show, recorded at the Ridge Florida Studios located in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. Any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for our program? Subjects you'd like us to broach, people who'd like us to interview, just put them in the comments below, or just go to thebarryfostershow@gmail.com. Check out the YouTube page each and every weekday. We'll be putting up new programming on a regular basis. Please like and subscribe. Join the hundreds of subscribers to our YouTube page, and join our pages at The Barry Foster Show on Facebook and Instagram. That would be very helpful. And remember, Christmas time is just around the corner, but the decorating doesn't have to stress you out. This year, let Ridge Florist bring Christmas home. From fully decorated Christmas trees delivered right to your living room, to complete in-home holiday decorating by our design specialist, to stunning Christmas floral arrangements that make every gathering magical, Ridge Florist does it all. Call today, 863-382-4477, or go on the web, ridgefloristofsebring.com, Ridge Florist, we decorate, you celebrate. As we continue to look for truth, justice, and the American way, this is Barry Foster, and we'll see you next time.